Hello.
And welcome to Makers. Oh, hold on. No, yeah, I forgot. Go ahead.
Hello.
And welcome to Makers.dev, episode 106. I got really excited because I have several things to say about the episode number.
Okay.
If you dial 106 in Australia from a text phone or teletypewriter, what will happen?
You'll get the time and date. I don't know.
You could potentially have someone sent to you who could tell you the time and date.
Oh.
Depending on the situation that you're in. Would you like to take another guess?
I don't know.
Apparently, 106 in Australia from a text phone or teletypewriter will get you a 911 analog. And you can enter PPP for police, FFF for fire, or AAA for ambulance.
Interesting.
That's the system.
Right.
Did you also know, interesting fact number 2, that 106 is a centered pentagonal number, meaning if you arrange 106 dots into a pentagon, there will be a dot in exactly the middle.
Oh.
Similar to 1, or if you surround the 1 with dots, with 5 dots, now it's 6 and it's a centered what did I say? Centered pentagonal number, centered pentagon. And then if you surround that with another layer, you get 16 dots. You surround that with another layer, 31, all the way up to 106, and then off to infinity. And did you also know, I'm making up for the boring facts of the last few episodes, that 106 is also a centered heptagonal number, which is the same thing as I just said before, a heptagon with
Interesting.
7 sides. Yeah.
How many numbers are both centered hexagonal or what'd you say?
Centered pentagonal number and centered heptagonal number.
Heptagonal, yeah. I wonder how many numbers are both.
I assume that's an infinite set. I see no reason why it wouldn't be infinite. It would be a smaller infinity than the number that are in either set, but I think that would just keep going. Yeah. Common factors of 6 and 7. But it would be more complicated than that. Anyway, how are you?
I'm doing all right. I got 3 number facts. How can I be doing badly? My microphone didn't work again today, so I'm on my earbuds. I don't know what is up with my microphone. It worked for 3 seconds. Every time I reconnected it, it would work for 3 seconds and then drop out. Yeah. So I don't know what's going on.
I also don't know what's going on. Computers are magic. You were like, it couldn't be a hardware issue, could it? I don't know. I have no idea. Is it cosmic rays coming in, flipping bits? I don't know. Computers are magic.
Computers are magic. Otherwise, how is it going? I've been working, doing a lot of work, and let's see, my advanced linear algebra test is this weekend. So I'm just preparing for that, and I'm still trying to work on the NFL competition, although I have done no better than I was last time. So I'm like almost around 40th place or something out of 700. Okay. So
still top 5%.
Yeah, I mean, that's just out of top 5, but I haven't improved at all, which is concerning. I do have some interesting math I can share, like math about GPUs, so it's more interesting than just math. I wanted to add more GPUs to my thing because video data takes forever to process, and so my one little GPU is just chugging along. So I tried out some cloud ones, and I realized very quickly that the GPUs are the same, but they're in some data center. So who knows where the hard drives are that they're referencing, that they're, pointed to, or what they're probably spinning disks, who knows? And even if they're SSDs, they're slower. And also the number of cores you get is less, and they're not hyper-threaded. So I have a 12-core hyper-threaded machine, which means I can run 24 threads at a time. And I have the fastest SSD you can buy, like NVMe or whatever it is. And so the performance on my machine was easily beating GPUs that should have, outpaced mine, because when you're doing video data, there's a lot of reading from disk, the files from disk, and they're big files. And then, there's the more cores you have, the better, basically. So when I was doing all my pricing before for GPUs, I probably should have used, you can rent dedicated GPU machines with like $10 to $20 an hour, which is crazy expensive. So I then looked at whether or not I should buy another GPU.
All right.
I didn't, but I looked at it. Yeah, they've come way down in price, and so you can buy my same GPU in a machine that's not as good as mine, but all in for like $3,000 now. So
GPU prices sound like they have come back down after the crypto boom. Okay. I feel very justified in pushing you to get this GPU. That this is a unintended advantage of having it locally. When you were doing the calculation before, I think it was just based on how much you would be using it, and we were thinking a lot about like, oh, well, if you had it, you would use it a lot more than if you were just thinking in the back of your mind, like, oh man, I'm paying $1 per hour for using this thing. So also having the advantage of having faster storage space, and also having hyper-threaded CPUs. I don't know what hyper-threaded means.
Just means you can run 2 threads per CPU at a time.
2 threads per CPU. So it's still the same number of cores, but you can... How does that work?
Magic computer architecture stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would they not... Why don't they just call that twice the number of CPUs?
Because they're all on the same core, and they compete for like cache and stuff. Okay. So it's not the same as having 24 cores, but if you are doing independent work, then it might as well be.
That's really interesting. Huh. I want to learn more about hyper-threaded. But yeah, cool. I this competition in particular of working with video is the sort of competition that I think would have been unfeasible to do if you were just renting GPU space, GPU time. And so having the computer locally, like this is another unfair advantage you have in these competitions, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yes, but it doesn't help if I can't get any better. So
True.
Every experiment I've tried is like essentially the same as how I have been doing, and so it's like nothing has worked. It's very frustrating.
The equipment can only get you so far. Right. You also have the exam this weekend. How are we feeling about that?
Fine. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. They gave us a practice test, and, as long as you can do everything on the practice test, theoretically, you'll be all right. They are allowing us to use notes. Did I talk about this? It was going to be closed notes. And then the professor held some office hours where he realized he works in the math department and wasn't really aware of this program. And he thought everyone in this program was going to go for a PhD afterwards, in which case it's like important for you to memorize the theorems and stuff. But everyone's like, no, I'm like a computer programmer. And he's like, oh, okay. So he is far more relaxed now, allowing notes. So I feel way better about that part of it in particular. Yeah, so we'll see.
Something I'm curious about is this may be the first class that you've taken post ChatGPT. Has that been useful in any of doing the homework or taking tests or anything?
I haven't used it. So you know how ChatGPT can confidently get things wrong extremely, that's probably what would happen. Like, I suspect if you tried to get it to answer something, you'd be like, yes, of course. Yeah. Use this theorem. And then you go look it up and it doesn't actually exist. Yeah. That's probably what would happen.
Yeah. I'm going to be very careful talking about this because this could potentially turn into a felony. So,
okay.
I got a speeding ticket a little while ago. And one of the things you can do after getting a speeding ticket is to take a defensive driving class. And they offer defensive driving classes online. And I was curious if ChatGPT would be able to answer some of these questions that pop up during the defensive driving thing. So I copied some of the questions, and then when they were in my clipboard, I answered the question myself, and then pasted them into ChatGPT to see if it would get them right. And it does a pretty good job. Like, it gets most of them right, but when it gets them wrong, it gets them wrong confidently. And then I remembered that you could correct ChatGPT and say, oh, actually, it's this other answer. And then if you ask it again, it'll update within the chat. And so for one of the questions, I said, you said that the stopping distance at whatever, 30 miles an hour is 100 feet, and it's actually this other number. But when I tried to correct it, I copied the wrong answer to correct it to. So I told it, what I effectively said was, no, what you said is incorrect. The correct answer is exactly the answer you gave me. And then it responded oh, yes, of course. The answer is this because of this. And I was like, oh, hold on. No, wait. And then I didn't realize you could do this, but you can edit the prompt and then it recalculates everything after that. So I changed it to be what the actual correct answer was of whatever, 50 feet. And it replied the exact same reply with exactly the same reasoning, but with a different answer. I was like, oh, okay, this is where we're at. This is fine. but also like a confident, slightly below average human, I think, would respond in a similar way. Like I don't know what sort of response I'm expecting, but yeah, using this for exam questions is a mixed bag. After I take the final exam for this defensive driving class, fully legally fulfilling my obligations of spending 6 hours in this class learning about defensive driving, and also taking the exam with no outside assistance, I plan to copy and paste all the questions into ChatGPT and see if it could pass. Like, is this smart enough to be able to
Right.
Be a driver, at least in the book? I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think I've seen several threads, but one of them convinced ChatGPT that the Earth was purple or something like that, and so yeah, you can get it to say just about anything.
Yeah. So fun. I have some exciting stuff to talk with you about. I launched the video clipper. It happened.
Awesome.
Last episode was like, I meant to launch last Wednesday, and I'm going to launch this Wednesday. Gosh darn it. And you were like, oh, I thought you were going to launch this Wednesday all along. Have fun. And I felt so many feelings. I think the predominant feeling was like mild disappointment. And I think that's the feeling that I was avoiding the whole week before that, when I just felt paralyzed and couldn't get work done on it, because there's still stuff I haven't unpacked about File Inbox. One of the things that happened in File Inbox was like, I didn't put any effort into the launch. I just recoded the app in Rails from Sinatra to add Stripe billing so that people could pay me money. And when I pushed the code for that and swapped over the domain, people just started buying it with me doing nothing.
Yeah.
And I think part of me was like trying to recreate that magic and not knowing how that happened. And so during the File Inbox launch, the first day I got $300 from people buying. It was like 10 people buying the $30 a year plan. And then the first month I had something like, I don't know, it was like I think it was 2,000 MRR. And then after like 2 or 3 months, it was at like 8,000 MRR. And that put me in this sort of paralyzing position of, what if I can never achieve that success again? What if that was just a fluke? I still don't understand why that happened. A lot of that was magic. I was 22. I didn't know anything about marketing. I think there were a series of lucky circumstances that put me in this position where it could be successful. So like, I'm unpacking this now. I think that was a lot of the resistance I was feeling in the week before leading up to the launch. Is I didn't want to feel disappointed when that didn't happen. And that didn't happen. And I did feel disappointed. And it's fine now. And I'm so happy that I've done it, because that's over now. It's not File Inbox, and that's fine. It's not going to have the same trajectory. It's going to be very different, which is good. I want this to be different. I want this to be a thing that I understand, that, you know, I have a much better understanding of the customers, and I want a much better understanding of what the marketing channels are and all that. So I had a total of, during the launch, I had 2 people sign up to pay me, which is fantastic, right? Yeah. 2 people out of the ether are paying me money on a recurring basis. My MRR now is $80. Those 2 people combined with a customer who I sold a couple days before that, who I still don't know if I can talk about, and I forgot to ask them. I just talked to them yesterday. I don't know if I can talk about them on the podcast. But they are they do things in the podcast hosting space, so they also have clients who could potentially use this.
Nice.
And in that conversation, I had conversations with everyone who's paying me money. And the first 2 were kind of like, oh yeah, I'm kind of going to use this, and I have this thing, but I'm not really invested in it. And the person who I sold before the launch, like, they're rocking and rolling. They're ready to do this. They have a whole backlog. They know the value proposition. And then on the call that I had with them yesterday, demoing the stuff that I had just built for them, they were like, oh man, we have a bunch of clients who we could be doing this for. And so we need to talk about agency pricing and like how many more of these can we get? So that feels great. Yeah. And I wouldn't have been able to get there if I hadn't been able to push through this slightly bad feeling of like, it's not going to feel exactly like the File Inbox launch did. So yeah.
So agency pricing is great. I thought you were going to say affiliate fees. So can they put this as a big button in their, in their app somewhere and be like, sign up for this thing and get?
I think the way they're going to do it, they do some like bespoke stuff for their customers already. that has to do with, I don't know, branding and promotion or editing or something. I don't fully understand it. And so I think this is just going to be like an add-on service that they're going to add. And I don't know how much they're charging their customers, but yeah, this is one of the things I want to ask you about is how should I be thinking about this agency pricing? Right now, I'm charging them 50% off the $100 a month plan for the next 6 months. I did 8 months for them, actually. So I don't know how much more to charge them per brand that they want to bring on.
I don't know either.
Okay.
Did they give you any indication about how much they'd be willing to spend?
No. I also didn't try at all to get that.
Yeah.
I think what I would want to know is like how much are their customers paying them, and then I want to still be much cheaper than that. But like,
if they're manually doing it for their customers, they're probably charging a lot. So
right.
Yeah. Interesting. I would. What would I do? I was going to say go look for other companies that do agency pricing stuff and then look at their prices, but you probably can't look at their prices. Agency prices are usually, call us for for pricing. Do you know anyone else who does agency stuff that you could ask? Because I don't have any experience with agency pricing.
Not for this thing in particular, though. Not for like creating. Actually, no. I do know
general,
someone.
like. Yeah, anyone from Microconf or whatever who, has a base thing and also watches agency and just see what the pricing delta is.
No one comes to mind. I do know someone who runs an agency who does this sort of video clipping thing. A friend of a friend, like someone I know, his brother runs the company. So I could reach out to him. I think I also want to know what my customer is charging their people. I think that'll really help me anchor this, because this is like being on the phone with them was exhilarating. It was like, oh yeah, this is exactly what you need. Like you have this. Oh man. Oh, I shouldn't talk about this, but so there was
you could just wait.
Okay. I'll just
ask him if you could talk about it, and then
okay. I won't talk about it.
Mark it for next time. Yeah.
I won't get myself into the sticky situation from last time. I think my product is perfect. Like it's designed for non-technical like assistants to be able to do the work that otherwise it would cost multiple hundreds of dollars for a specialized like video editor to do, and then you can be doing it much more consistently. You can just be churning it out. Like it feels like a really good fit. So as part of that, the first call that I had with this customer, there were a handful of things that came up where I was like, oh, this is something that I want to be able to do, but I can't do it yet. So I'm going to like do those features. So I had that call a little before the launch, and then I had the launch, and then I sort of felt the sense of mild disappointment and then relief. And then I felt really motivated and energized. So since our last podcast, I've gotten so much done. Oh my gosh. Cool. I built this whole system for automatically importing an entire YouTube channel. So now you can just paste in your YouTube channel link, and then I import every video you've ever published, and it happens in seconds. It's not like I had a few customers try to upload videos and it would like get stuck halfway through, which I don't know how that's happening because I'm using the same logic as I'm using for File Inbox, and it's just going directly to Google Cloud Storage. But in this new flow, I import all of their videos, and then they're immediately there, and then they click on one of the videos, and then I don't even go through the work of captioning it. I pull the YouTube captions. So within 20 seconds, you can be in a point where you can start making clips.
That's cool.
So that felt really good. And when I showed them that, like, they were really happy. But and they also wanted custom fonts, which I had halfway implemented, but I didn't import all the Google fonts. So now I've imported all the Google fonts, and you can choose any Google font. So that part feels really cool. And what else? Yeah, no, just got a ton done. I'm like back in the groove. I'm back to feeling excited about this. It feels really cool. So okay. This is the main thing I wanted to ask you about. I was looking at some competitors, and this is a separate thing I want to talk to you about, but
sure.
We'll go on the main thread first. And several people who were building apps who were doing something similar all have this concept of AI clips, and some of them are taking a bad tactic with it. Some of them are just like, it's only going to be AI, and either you're happy with the clip or you're not. And I think that's bad. I think AI should be like suggestions, and then a human reviews it and is able to tweak it and that sort of thing. So I know there's an easy way to be doing this, to go from I have a list of words. It's a script, and I just need to know the start and end index of words of what interesting clips would be. And we talked about this before and talked about like potential ways to do it with GPT, but I still don't have this fully formed in my mind of how I'm going to implement this feature, but I know it's going to be easy. Like this can't be that complicated if there's so many other people doing it. So I want to pick your brain on how you would do that in an easy way.
This feels exactly like when I'm doing not so great in a Kaggle competition, like I am right now, and then I know that several other people are doing really well, and like they know something I don't know. I just have to figure out what they know. I suspect there is just some third-party, service that will do this, and so it may just be hunting around for them. There's loads of third-party services coming out of the walls for different things. If I had to do it with just services I know existed, I would do something like summarize the entire transcript, which I know you can get from a third-party service, and then try to find where in the transcript it like maximally overlaps with something in the summary, if that makes sense. So basically, try to find what would I call this? The most information per word in the big transcript. By comparing it to the summary. But that may be overly complicated or might get terrible results. There may just be something like, given this, there's probably a service that says, give me, this huge block of text and I will return 4 interesting quotes. I would look for something like that.
How do I find something like that?
Google.
The word quote is interesting. That's not one I would
Quote is interesting, yeah. I would look for... What would I look for? There are companies that provide both generic sort of AI things and more specific ones. If you can't find a specific one right away, you may go to one of these generic ones that have 100 different endpoints and ask them if any combination of their endpoint could do that.
Okay.
And if not, ask them what other services they know about that, because they know what all their competitors. So I suspect a couple hours of Googling plus, emailing companies and you'll find something.
Okay. The main player I know of in this space is ChatGPT, but it sounds like there are other API endpoints.
Yeah, there's loads. Let's see. Can I find one that I know about?
Let's do it live.
Let's see. This makes for great podcast listening.
Listen to the captivating, riveting makers.dev. That's
right.
Google searching for things.
Yeah, no, so there's Otter AI, which I knew about, but they're not quite right. Descript has lots of interesting things, but also probably not quite right. I don't know.
Okay.
I can try to find... Right. I can do some research afterwards, too, and see if I know of anything. Because I know I've run across, AI tools with 200 endpoints, and, you can just hit different endpoints for different things. But
I would love if you could do that, because I what the landscape looks like.
A little bit.
I know what ChatGPT is, and I don't know of anything else. And I know of there's summary APIs that I've seen before, where you just send it the whole transcript and it gives you the summary. So I would know how to do that part. But given the summary and the entire transcript, I still don't know how I could go to clips from that. Ideally, if there's just an endpoint that I'm like, here's all the words, and they can give me exactly what I want, that'd be perfect. And there's got to be a way to do that. I know it's going to be stupidly simple when we find it out. Either just an endpoint that already exists that does this magically, or just some combination of once you have the summary, then you just and it's not even AI. And,
right.
That's what I'm looking for. Okay, cool. So the other bigger topic I want to talk about here is one of the feelings in the mix of feelings I was feeling during launch was about competitors. There was a thread that Justin Jackson posted where he was talking about wanting to do exactly this, to be able to have AI suggest different clips in a clip thing. And he called me out directly. He added me and said, "Hey, Christian, aren't you working on this?" And I was like, "Yes, here's my thing." And then I looked in his main thread and saw that there were 2 or 3 other of my competitors that had also responded there, and then I got this pang of like, oh, that feels bad. And then one of them I saw had like imported one of his videos and made clips from it, and I was like, that feels extra bad because I'm just now seeing this and I didn't go through the work of making clips for him. It feels bad. I don't like it. And I've been trying to unpack that feeling, and I think it's a feeling of like inadequacy and scarcity. Like, I don't like the feeling of other people doing the thing that I'm trying to do, but doing part of it better. So like one of the competitors I looked at had this whole video editor built out where you could add custom elements, and I looked at that and just felt this sinking in my stomach of like, this is work that I had wanted to do that I don't know how I would do, and it feels bad to see that this other person has it better than me. And also this feeling of like, I at my core, I want to be helping people make clips, and I don't feel like I can do that in good conscience if I feel like there's this other service that they could be using that would be even better. And so then that got me, I did a lot of thinking about this. I feel like I've mostly processed through it. I don't want to be recommending my thing if it's not actually the best thing. And then I remembered your skyscraper post for Acorn Chat, where you were able to very honestly, from like a place of abundance, go through and say, hey, this is not for everyone. If you're not using Slack, if you don't like Slack, this is not for you. And yes, of course. Like, yes. To be able to say that my thing is not for everyone, which is true, I get to hone in on exactly who the people are that it's for. And even if at this moment in time there's like my product, and there's another product that's like my product but 2 steps ahead, they've got this visual editing thing, I think there are still some people for which my thing is the best thing. And I don't even know what that combination of things might be, but it could just be that they like interacting with me more than they like interacting with the other people. It could just be that, there's one button on the other thing that's just a little bit of friction, that on that thing you have to push a button, and on my thing you don't have to push that button. It just happens. Like, I don't have to differentiate myself that much for it to make sense for someone else to use my thing, and for my thing to legitimately be better for them. But I would like to stay honest, and like, I'm not trying to manipulate people into using my thing. And like for people who have audiograms, my thing is, I don't think ever going to be for people who want to make audiograms. There's a whole bunch of other services I know of that can do audiograms. I'm not going to do it. I think it's a bad idea. We tried that was one of the first projects we were talking about with each other, like how to make engaging audiograms, and we were both making like little puppets that talk to each other. After all the experimenting I've done with that, I have not yet found a good way to do audiograms. I think a solution might be that you have stock footage that you mix in, but I still don't like that as much as video. Like, if I ever go that route, that's going to be way down the priority list. But just the idea that you could go from audio and have some sort of engaging visual thing, I don't think that's a good idea. So that's sort of where I've landed on the idea of competition. Like, it felt really bad to see that there were other people doing things, and some of the things they were doing were like the direction that I wanted to move in, that I felt like was better than what I currently had. But I think there are still legitimately a lot of people out there for whom I can help the most to make clips with this problem. That's where I've landed. How does that sound?
Yeah, I think it's great to unpack those feelings and think about them. So there's several things I could say. One is that if you see other people doing it, that is good, because there is a there. Like, there are people trying to do it, and other people have, dedicated resources to building a thing, and so there are customers there. So actually, competitors is a good thing. I think that's something that, in our space at least. Now, if you're shooting for, giant VC exit, then maybe competitors or competition is bad. But for what we're doing, competitors are good. And it's very difficult to get over that fact, get over that. And that's why I built Acorn Chat, because it's specifically in a space where there are a lot of competitors, and that is something I knew I needed to sort of feel. And so I did. And so now I'm fully in the belief that competitors are actually good. The other thing is, there's 1,000,001 reasons why someone might use your thing instead of someone else's, even if they're, 2 years ahead with a video editor or something, and it could be as simple as, the person doesn't like the colors on the website that the other person uses, who knows? Competitive advantages I think you have right now are, you are extremely available as a one-person, founder. People can get your Twitter and DM you and get an answer the same day. That is not the case for a lot of companies. So there's that. Like there's 100 other things that aren't features that are reasons why someone might choose your thing. So
yeah,
I think if you can internalize some of that and then still build the features, like you still want to be competitive feature wise, but just know that even without them, there are reasons why someone might choose you.
Yep.
And then just go from there.
Cool. Yeah, that feels good. I think that, like, in thinking of my own purchasing decision, when I pick a grocery store to go to, there's like 6 grocery stores around me, and I end up 90% of the time going to the one that's geographically the closest, but also fits my philosophy on food the closest. Like, they've got weird stuff like goat yogurt that no other grocery store has. That my personal philosophy is that I think goat dairy is easier to digest and slightly healthier for me than bovine dairy. And I've struggled with allergies to bovine. Bovine's not the right word. Bovine, I think, means 4 hooves. I used to use that word. Cow.
Oh, really?
Cows is
bovine
what I
just
have a
meant
problem with.
Cow. Okay. Yeah.
I think I looked it up and like 2 weeks ago and realized I was using the word incorrectly.
Right.
Like cow dairy, I struggle with for different allergy reasons. So, like, this grocery store, Central Market near me, has this philosophy of like more of a bougie, weird niche ingredients that are more expensive, and that fits much better than the Tom Thumb that's 2 minutes further, just across the street, that has much cheaper stuff, but it doesn't, like, they don't have goat yogurt. So I would rather go to Central Market. And like with clipping, I have this like everyone else making these tools is going to have a totally different philosophy. They're going to have a totally different angle that they're approaching it from. The company doing this that's backed by Google was started by this person who started as a marketer, and they're going to have different advantages and disadvantages than me. Like, their technology is going to be they're not going to go technology first. They're going to have this much prettier stuff, and I kind of envy them, like their ability to talk directly to the customer. It sounds like this person's background was like they were making these sorts of clips for people in an agency capacity, and then realized, I could hire some developers to make this thing. I think it's a great play, and like that's going to be a very different company than the one that I'm building, and that's going to appeal to different people in different respects. Like, and so customers coming after this who are used to agencies and really like agencies and want that sort of agency feeling, they're probably going to gravitate towards her thing. And people who are more like bootstrappery, like micro-comfy, are probably going to gravitate towards my thing, probably for reasons they couldn't even articulate. They'll just be like, I can't, like, this one feels more familiar than the other one. And like, I'm trying to get to 20K MRR, right? I don't need to take over the whole market. I just want 500 people pay me $30 a month. Like, that's all I need. And yeah, so there were a lot of complicated feelings, and I feel like I've mostly processed them. But it was a wild ride, especially like thinking about that in the middle of the launch, and also feeling the disappointment of that it wasn't going the same way that File and Bugs did. But I feel like I'm in a really good place right now, and I feel like I've gotten over the hump of getting back in the rhythm of working, and work feels much more exciting. So it feels really good.
That's good. The other thing I continuously forget is that people, you might know of 13 competitors, but people aren't going to try out 13 things. They might try out 2,
right?
And then pick based on that. And so you only have to win some of the time against one other competitor, based on
sure.
Whatever.
A complicated feeling I have here, though, is like, I don't want to recommend my thing if I know in good conscience that there's another thing that would be better for them to use. And in the position I'm in, I can landscape that whole area of like every single competitor. And what would make me feel just rock solid really good about this is if I actually tried all the different competitors and then wrote the skyscraper post like you did, and then was able to say, hey, if you're this type of person, like, here's the 3 simple questions that you can answer from your perspective, and then here's the thing you should use based on that. If you, like, are you audio only? Definitely don't use my thing. Here's the 6 people that you can do. I've reviewed all of them. I think this one's the best. That's the position of like abundance and strength that I want to be approaching this from.
Yeah. So I would write that post for 2 reasons. One is SEO, just like, But the other is, yes, you can have a clear conscience, and you can say, here are the reasons you should or should not choose my thing. Go read this, and here's what I think. If someone spends the time to read that, they've probably already decided whether or not they're going to use your thing, which is the ironic thing. Like, unless it's something like, I thought you could do audiograms, and so I have to go choose someone else.
Yeah.
But there's so much subjectivity in like choosing software that as long as you sort of do the thing, they will probably choose you for reasons that you can hardly articulate. Which is kind of frustrating, but also freeing, I suppose.
Hopefully they just like me for my honesty and charming debonair.
Right, exactly.
Stunning good looks. Okay, cool. We talked about competitors. Oh, the early customer interviews I had. So I talked with everyone who signed up, and I think that's going to be a really good exercise. Like, everyone who pays me money, I didn't talk to everyone who signed up. I talked to everyone who signed up for a paid plan. With this goal of like, I want to make sure that you're accomplishing the job that you bought this tool to achieve. And I think that's going to be a really good habit, because I got from that really good information of like just solidifying, oh man, YouTube imports are so important. Another person got stuck on uploading a video and then they just abandoned it. So if I can minimize that friction, if I can make sure that like immediately after using the product, they have their videos imported and they're able to make a clip. Eventually, hopefully soon, if we can figure this out, like if you can just paste in your YouTube channel, and then you see bada bada bum, there's all your videos imported, and then you click on one of the videos, and then you wait a few seconds for the transcript to import, and then it says automatically looking for clips to suggest, and then it says, here are 3 clips we recommend from this episode. The thing that the person being onboarded has done is like pasted in their link and hit next, and then clicked on one of the recent videos, and now they have the thing that they want. They were trying to accomplish this job of getting clips, and now here it is. I have their clips in one paste and 2 clicks. That'd be primo. That's where I want to get. And then after that, like the full job they want to do is to be able to publish those on a schedule to specific networks. And that's going to like, I really want to focus on the clipping part first and making sure that I'm like rendering good clips and stuff. But then if they could, in 2 or 3 more clicks, authenticate the networks that they want to be publishing on, and then have a publishing schedule, like that would be magic. That's where I want to get. And that's something I could do like at a conference. I could whip up my laptop and say, what's your YouTube channel? But okay, here's some clips. You want to sign up right now? And like, we could schedule these right now at the conference. Like you could publish a clip today. That's getting me excited. That's where I want to get to. And that's like, the more I talk with customers and really just curiously and honestly try to help them with the job that they're trying to do, the clearer that vision is getting in my mind of like, oh, this is the thing this is what you actually want. And I want to make it happen. I want to bring it into existence. Talking to customers, dude, like that's the most important thing you can do. Holy cow.
I think that is a great practice. If you can talk to everyone who pays you, who at some point, maybe there's 30 people signing up a day and you can't talk to them all, but that's not going to be anytime soon. So talk to everybody. That's great. Also, I love the onboarding flow that you just talked about. We talked about this before, but every step in that process is something they already know. Like, what's your YouTube channel? Oh, I already know that. The next step is like, what video do you want clipped? So maybe that even could be streamlined a little bit more, but it's like, oh, I like this video and I think it should be circulated more, so I'm gonna click on this one, and then it shows clips and you're just like, oh, this one's good, do that. Like, every step in that is something they know. They don't have to make very many decisions. Just great. That'd be cool if we can get there.
Cool. That vision has been clarified by talking to people. So, hey, future Christian and other people listening to this who are building stuff, talk to your freaking customers. Do it. I may even want to, like, if I run dry from people who are paying me money, like, I could go through the list of people who have just signed up and go through the same process. It's not going to be quite as high of a signal because it's not people who are like have the problem enough that they're paying me money, but I think that would still potentially be useful.
Well, what you might find is there's two categories of people. One who don't have the problem enough, they were just interested, and so they signed up. And yes, I would not listen to very much about what they have to say because they're not your real target customer.
Yeah.
But at least you'll know how many there are. The other would be people who are ideal customers but have like one feature or a couple features, that they need before they can actually use it. And look for those people too, because then if you can build those one or two features, you get a new customer, So there might be someone who is perfect, but they can't use your thing for one or two reasons that are easy to fix. So I would look for those people for sure.
Cool. That makes sense. That leads perfectly into the next thing I wanted to talk about, which is the next big marketing thing I want to try is going to conferences. Sarah pointed out that going to like conferences like that, I'm kind of going as an attendee, like I'm going because I'm the target of it and want to get help. And she was like, hold on, you're going to conferences but you're not trying to sell people, you're not like your whole thing is that you're trying to increase marketing and sales, but you're spending all this money on conferences where you're the customer. Like, go to conferences where you can sell people anything. And so I'm doing that now.
Nice.
I asked Rachel to flesh out some information on a list of conferences that I found that I think have people who would potentially be interested in buying the Video Clipper, and then sort those by date. So the very next one is Social Media Marketing World in San Diego on March 13th. And this, I feel like this superpower of having an assistant is really hitting its stride here, because I found the list of them, just like a list. I Googled for 5 minutes of what are conferences in this space, and I started seeing a few of them multiple times, so those got bumped up the list. And then I sent that list to Rachel and said, hey, can you find how much this conference costs, where it is geographically, the date, and something else, I don't remember. And she went through the list and did that, and I said, great. And I put those on a calendar, and she probably could have done that part for me. And in the conversation I had with her yesterday, I was like, okay, let's figure out how you can book a conference for me. And I've never systematized my process for doing this, but like, I have preferences for flights and I have preferences for hotels. And that was something I used to feel so self-conscious about, like telling an assistant that like I prefer to fly Spirit because I don't like spending money on flights. I think I felt this feeling of like, oh, they're going to judge me and think I'm cheap, and like that I'm not going to have enough money to pay them or something. And in this conversation I had with her yesterday, I felt so comfortable of like, yeah, this is what I want. Like, I don't care about a fancy flight. I just want to get there. The thing I do care about though is like that it's nonstop and that it leaves at a comfortable time. And for me, a comfortable time is after 10 a.m. So it's got to leave here after 10 a.m. and it's got to leave the place coming back here after like 11. And it was great. And now she has all the information she needs for hotel and for flight. So the first one we're going through, she's just going to like look for it and then bounce it off me to double check. And then she already has my business credit card, and she already has all the information she needs to be able to book me a flight, and made sure that she had like my frequent flyer numbers and everything else. But yeah, so that's really cool. And there's like one of these conferences every month, and I'm going to be honing this process with Rachel where she's making it so the only thing I have to do is like check my calendar and then pack a bag and hop on a flight. And then I'll have some system once I'm there of, I don't know what I'll do, like business cards, or I had some cool ideas of like I could give them a pair of scissors with a branded video clipper, but then it's all people who flew there and you can't fly with scissors, so maybe not scissors.
Business cards is pretty good.
Yeah.
Stickers are sometimes good too, but business cards are probably good.
I'd love if it was a physical thing I could hand out, but I don't, like, maybe nail clippers, because you can bring nail clippers on a flight, right?
Maybe.
Okay.
Do you know? Well, there's about 1 million sites where you can get company branded swag stuff, but so go looking on those. I looked at one of those once. I get the Uline catalog, and then there's another one just because I have a business, and there's like things you would have never ever thought of that you can get company branded. So go look at that if you want to. But I wouldn't. I would spend way less time on that and more on what your message is going to be. Like
for sure.
have down pat the 20-second version of your pitch or less. So
yeah, that's the gimmick. I think I'm probably just gonna print business cards, and even if I don't, I think that'll be fine. My main goal is just going to be to talk to people, to get to know them, to better understand what they're thinking about and what the problems are that they're thinking about. And I'm going to watch that talk that you sent me about how to sell at conferences. I watched the first part of it, and then I was like, this is going to be really useful. Let me cue that up to watch later because I don't want to watch it now. And that was like a week and a half ago. So I'll watch that. But yeah, I'm curious to see how this happens. And I have an engine now for how I could be doing a lot of these scalably in a low effort way. So yeah, I'm excited about that, especially for the scale that I'm at. Like I would only need to sell, I don't know, 3 or 4 people. I think I figured out for it to pay for the conference.
The other thing you can think about doing is ways to collect email addresses, basically. But like, I'm thinking of something like, if someone seems interested, you can say, okay, what's your YouTube channel name and what's your email address, and at the end of this conference I will send you 3 clips.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I want to spend effort on. That's because that's actually to do with the product. Yeah. If I could just whip out my laptop and be like, okay, here's what I want the flow to be.
Even just your phone, just type in the Notes app, what their channel is and what their email address is. And then
sure.
That night you can fill it in.
Yeah. I don't necessarily need to do it there. What I'm imagining is like a booth or I'm not going to pay for a booth at first though. But if I'm talking to someone and they're like, oh yeah, we're experiencing this problem, I can be like, oh, I can help you with this problem. Hang on, let me get my laptop out of my backpack. What's your YouTube channel? Boom. Okay, so we have all these videos, and let's click on this one, and let's automatically get some clips from it. I'd love to send these to you for free. Where can I send them? And then I type in their email address, and then okay, you have them in your email right now. And then if they go through the email, it prompts them to sign up for an account, and then they can download the clips immediately. But they're watermarked, and then if they want to unwatermark them, they can pay me money. And like that seems like the easiest sell ever. Okay, that's where I want to be devoting energy. I'm not going to worry about like figuring out how to get mayo clippers with my logo on it. Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, that feels really good. The second, so that's like a breakthrough I had in marketing. I had a breakthrough in the technical side of it also. I found rediscovered something called Remotion, which is a React library where to make a video, you create a React component that takes as one of its props the frame number, and it makes a video. You tell it how long you want the video to be, you tell it the resolution, those are also props you feed into it, and it makes the video. And I'd forgotten about this, and then rediscovered it, and it's perfect. And the feature I was talking about earlier, where the other competitor was so far ahead because they had the full video editor, this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it with Remotion, and it's going to be so much better. So that was really exciting. That's what I'm going to be working on today and tomorrow, and for a lot of the next week, figuring out how to implement Remotion. They're doing a lot of cool things too with serverless rendering, where they're splitting up the job into multiple pieces. So if you have a 5-minute video, it'll separate it into little 30-second chunks, and then each Lambda job is only rendering 30 seconds, and then all those come back together, and then they get stitched together by the main job. So yeah, I think I'm going to keep my current pipeline with FFmpeg and all this other serverless stuff for just extracting the initial clip, just like the raw cut version, and then I'm going to use Remotion to do the fancier editing, and that's going to solve so many problems all at once. So that felt like a good breakthrough. I feel excited about it.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds like exactly the kind of thing where you think it might take forever and be really hard, but it's actually sort of easy. And I think if just keep going, you'll find lots of those. String a lot of those together, and you have a good product, right?
I just need the one for how to automatically suggest clips, Chris.
It's got to exist. Yeah.
Please help me. I need help. I don't know how to find it. Is there anything else I wanted to talk about? Stacking the bricks, all that. Oh, one more last fun thing. Do you know what Hogwarts Legacy is?
I've seen screenshots, but it's coming out right soon.
It gets released either today or tomorrow. I think tomorrow. Okay. But I bought the early fancy one, which you can start playing 72 hours earlier, so I can start playing it right now. But Chris, I have no time to play it, so I'm really excited for it. I'm gonna get to be in the Hogwarts universe. I'm gonna have Sarah make a character too. We're gonna play through it together. I've been looking forward to this since I found out about it like 2 years ago, and we bought a TV to be able to play this. We're gonna play it in the living room. I whipped out my old PC, and hooked it up, and I'm going to GameStop later today. Sarah doesn't know about this also. She like knows about Hogwarts Legacy and she's excited to play it, but she doesn't know like I'm going to be ready on our date night. I'm going to like whip out the controller and be like, we got it. It's already downloaded. Like, here we go. Create your character. So I'm excited for that.
Cool. Yeah. I don't have any kind of gaming system or PC, so I couldn't play it anyway.
If only you had a fancier graphics card, maybe you could.
Maybe. The one I talked about earlier, it is a Windows machine. Like I don't have Windows at all in my house, and that sounded bad, not on purpose or whatever. I just don't. And but it is a Windows machine, and I kind of almost bought it for the graphics card, but also because I have a couple of old games that I remember from my like childhood, and I found like ROMs for them or whatever, but they only work on Windows, and I've tried hard to get them to work on like under certain emulating like things on the Mac, and I just won't. So there's a couple of games that I want to play, and they're probably terrible. Like if once I play them, I'm probably like don't need to do them, but yeah. So
I gotta know what the games are. What are your childhood games?
One of them is called Outpost 2, which is basically like Age of Empires but in space.
Okay.
So that's a cool one. There are a couple of like flying ship games that I remember that I found like ROMs for, so I'm excited. And yeah, so I have those sitting around that I will play on whenever I get a Windows machine.
I'm excited for you to get your Windows machine. Can you not like dual boot on the...
I mean, they don't have to buy Windows, so...
True. Unless you didn't buy Windows. And we'll leave it at that. Chris, that's all I got.
That's all I got too.
Then I'll see you next week. Goodbye.